Hello, Dog TV. Joe Myers here. Happy National Dog Day. We have an incredible star-studded event. Um, please, please join us for this. We are highlighting dogs that give back, their owners, these incredible stories. And I'd like to welcome on my co-host. I've interviewed her before. She's the Dog TV training expert, dog godfather mom. Please welcome Laura Nativo.
Joe. Hey,
Hello,
it's me again,
hello.
Penelope Superfly. We're so happy to be celebrating National Dog Day with Dog TV. Thanks for having us.
We are so excited to be joining us. And maybe we'll let you start off. How is your dog your hero, and how does your dog give back, Laura?
Oh my goodness. Well, Penelope Superfly here, she just turned, we think 11 because she's a rescue, and her birthday was at some point in July, so we kind of celebrate all summer long.
I would never ask her age. I would never ask her age.
When you see her move, she's still a young sprite. But I started doing therapy dog work. Oh my gosh, I don't know, almost 15 years ago. Therapy dog work is actually the reason I do what I do in the dog world. Back when I was in my mid 20s, I was just an actress, producer working in Hollywood, and I felt, LA and the whole vibe. It was just, I wanted to give back. But of course, I had my little heart dog, Preston. I didn't want to leave him home alone. And so I thought, let me see if I can find a way to volunteer with my dog. In going through the testing process, I realized he needed to be trained to the highest level in order to have access to these hospitals. Preston already did a ton of tricks, and we became certified through Delta Pet Partners at the time. We were with an organization called Love on Four Paws, and Preston was amazing. He could speak or understand English, Spanish. He would go into the hospital, he would get dressed up and do tricks for all of the kids. And really, that was how I got into dog training. I just fell so in love with seeing what dogs do to give back to people. Now I'm a dog mom to Penelope and Lila, and they're also therapy dogs. And so I'm so excited to be here today with three of my friends who also do therapy dog work and talk about the incredible ways that these dogs give back to people.
Certainly. I think dogs give so much to each of us, but these dogs sort of take it to the next level. Can you do a quick, maybe like one or two sentences on all the guests, and then we'll introduce our first one?
Sure. So we're going to start out with my friend Laurie Williams. Laurie was my competitor, now turned best friend. We were on The Greatest American Dog together back in 2008. Laurie means the world to me because she's actually the reason I became a real certified professional dog trainer. She opened the door to positive reinforcement training. She's the one that said, you better not be like these other TV personalities who don't have any credentials. And she really helped pave the way for me to become a legitimate professional, not just someone who plays one on TV. So that's Laurie. Then we're going to have Ryan Cambio, who is a new friend of mine. He's got a dog named Aero, who is a big Rottweiler who goes into the children's hospitals dressed in a tutu, and hopefully he'll share some photos. But he is super cool. He runs his own nonprofit, and he has a secret project that he's not allowed to tell you about yet, but I promise you've got to follow him on Instagram because he's going to do amazing things in the dog world. And our final guest is very special to my heart. His name is Adam Goldworm with his dog, the BobDylan, on Instagram, BobDylan. And about, 12 years ago, I was Christmas Day. I went to the dog shelter, I think in Baldwin Park, to just cheer up the dogs with some other volunteers. And I came across this dog who was just so special. And we'll post a video on my Instagram, but I saw this dog and I was like, I really want to take you home. There's something about you. I didn't actually need another dog at the time. I just had Preston. And so I called Adam and I was like, you have to meet this dog. He's amazing. Adam ended up adopting a dog who henceforth is now known as the BobDylan. He is a therapy dog. He's been doing it for years. And I just think it's amazing to see not only people volunteering, but to see dudes doing it. Like, it is cool. All you guys out there, volunteering for your dog is one of the best ways that you can get out, be a good role model for other young men. And I'm just honored to have these friends joining us.
Excellent. Well, let's welcome our first guest She is on the job right now. The good work of giving back doesn't stop just because we want to go live here at DogTV. Please put your paws and hands together for Laurie Williams. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
We're good, Laurie. Who do you have with you today?
Calvin. He's my current working therapy dog. I've had 5. I was trying to count. I've had 5 through the last 16 years. So I've been doing therapy dog work for a while. But he's my current one.
Laurie, I know you're a nationally published writer. What is something you've seen, maybe a story you can share about a dog giving back? Maybe a therapy dog that really changed a life or changed somebody's day or changed somebody's moment.
Wow. I mean, gosh, so many. Actually, what I had the opportunity to do back in 2011, actually, we went to the memorial, the Pentagon Memorial, which was to commemorate 9/11. We went with our therapy dog group, who about 6 of them actually went to the Pentagon at that time, right after the planes hit, and helped, console the family members who were waiting. They were at the family center, family service center, that the people, all the relatives who didn't know if their loved ones were killed in the bombing, they didn't know what was going on. So they took a group of our therapy dogs there to sit with the families. And that was probably the most rewarding experience I think I've ever taken part in. And then in 2011, they had the dedication of the memorial. So I was able to go and meet with some of the families again and share stories. And they remember all the dogs. That's one thing, people will never forget a therapy dog who has been there to console them in a very dark time in their life. So it just, the positives that can come out of that are just immeasurable, really.
Very, very much so. If somebody's interested in supporting therapy dogs or maybe becoming one, what does that first step look like?
Oh, wow. So you have to do some just regular basic training. That's the thing. A lot of people call me and they want because I'm an evaluator too. In fact, I evaluated Preston, I do remember. But anyway, I have a lot of people that will come in and they'll just want to jump right to therapy dog. You have to do a lot of training, and not only so that your dog learns how to do A, B, C, D, E, but also so that you can develop a relationship with your dog, because therapy team, you're a team, you're a partnership. That's very important, and a lot of people don't really think about that part, but you're there to take care of your dog. You're there to support your dog. You're there to be their partner. And training really helps you learn that partnership and that working relationship that you need to be, really quality therapy teams. So they have to do basic training, possibly into some more intermediate advanced training. Your dog should be not quite bomb-proof like the way service dogs have to be. Service dogs have to be really bomb-proof. But for a therapy dog, they have to really be able to, number one, you have to be able to read their stress signals. You have to feed off of each other. But yeah, they also have to be reliable. They have to be the dog that is not doing excess barking, not lunging at people, not lunging at other dogs. So sometimes therapy dogs have to be around other dogs too. So you don't want to be that person who has a dog that people are like, that's a therapy dog. You don't want to be that person. So yeah, just a lot of basic and like intermediate training first.
And I think to Laurie's point, a lot of it's about the team. It's about the person wanting to serve, but also the dog having the type of personality where they want to be around other people and they're comfortable being pet. Laurie, why don't you talk about, kind of what to look for in a personality, because not every dog has the inherent personality to do therapy work.
Well, that's one of the parts of my job that are not the most pleasant, when I have to deliver the news that there's, because a lot of people want their dogs to be therapy dogs. I mean, it's an honorable thing to do. A lot of people want that. What I usually say when someone brings me a puppy is, I make this puppy my therapy dog. And I usually say to them, well, let's see what the puppy wants. And what I mean by that is, not all dogs are going to be suited for that job. It's a job. Some dogs are very inward towards their owners. They turn towards you, which is a great thing if you're going to do like dog sports or if you're doing like trick stuff. Very good. If you want your dog to be a therapy dog, they have to be outward. They have to be the type of dog that can turn away from their owner and go to a stranger and want to greet them, because that's one thing you don't want. You don't want your dog being the one that's turning their back to the to the person you're supposed to be helping. And dogs that are very, very, very into you in that way might do that, but that's not a bad thing. So what I usually do is I try to help people find things that their dog would be suited for, but definitely not every dog is suited to be a therapy dog.
Well, it's an absolutely wonderful thing, and we thank you for it. I know you're at work right now. Is there any way that our Dog TV audience can support what you're doing, or a resource you'd send them to?
Well, yeah, actually, I at my facility, Pup'N'Iron, as soon as the pandemic hit, I started doing a bunch of online classes. So I am thinking about getting a therapy dog course online. So if people want to get some more information about that, they can email me. They can go to my website. It's www.pup'n'iron.com. Pup'Niron. Get it? Pup'N'iron.
I love it. I love it. Very important.
They can contact me. I'm going to be forming that class this fall. So if they don't have a place close by that is doing therapy dog classes, they can do it with me online.
Will do. We'll make sure to include that in the link below. Laurie, absolute pleasure. Thank you for inspiring Laura Nativo. Because she said
you changed my life, Laurie. I will always cherish and adore you. They wanted us to be enemies, is the funny thing on Greatest American Dog. And here we are.
Well, we were on the show, but that's okay.
Absolutely pleasure, Laurie. Thank you so much. Keep doing the amazing work.
I love you,
and
Laurie.
I look forward to pump some iron with you.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What an inspired story, and what a cool person to be, your mentor and to drive you towards this. And what a wonderful place to start off with National Dog Day. Kind of maybe the godmother of the industry, as it is. Maybe that.
Truly, Laurie is incredible. She's so respected by the dog training community, and I'm so grateful that she was my introduction to the dog world. So, thank you, Laurie. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Laurie. Well, let us welcome our next guest, Adam Goldworm, and his dog, the BobDylan, not the singer. Please welcome.
Hello.
Adam.
Actually, just
Adam.
BobDylan. The Instagram is BobDylan, but he's just BobDylan, one word.
Just BobDylan. Got it. Well, I will visit. Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of how this bundle of joy came into your life and what you guys do to give back?
Said Well, Laura, I had met Laura somewhere. I had met Laura at some silly party once, and I told her I was looking for a dog. And one day she says, I found the perfect dog for you. So I went to the Valley and met this guy. And this guy's really smart. This guy put on quite a show when I met him. I come from a long line of dog families. Like, my dad was a vet. My grandparents raised and showed St. Bernards. Like, I come from a dog house. And I met this guy, and he was probably 6 months old. And he was the best behaved dog you've ever seen in your entire life. He walked right. He did not pull. He did not jump. He did not listen. He was just incredible. And it was all an act. By the time home, he was the worst animal you've ever seen in your entire life. My insisted I get rid of the dog. I mean, he was like, he would eat my clothes, he would eat my house, he was eating the deck, he would literally eat money. He burrowed underneath the house several times. He started an international incident on the street between the Russians and I forget, that required the police to show up because they each thought that the other person owned the dog, and they got into a fight about it. He then just slunk out. So he was a terrible, terrible creature. And then along the way, he became the best dog anyone's ever had. Right,
He's He's a little embarrassed. He's like, Dad.
Oh my gosh. So can you tell us sort of what you do to give back?
Oh, what we do?
Dog.
Yeah. So Bob was in a movie a few years back, and in the movie he was in a movie about Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer takes Bob into the woods to potentially kill him. It's a little movie called My Friend Dahmer. But in that experience, I had to fly around the country with Bob, and I would bring him into airports, and it was amazing. It was amazing how much he made stressed out people feel at ease, and it was just watching people, just even seeing him there, just open their eyes, and just made people that were in a place of hating, waiting for their plane, be in absolute bliss, just playing with the dog. Which is interesting because a couple years later, I saw the airport start using dogs around Christmas, but I'd never actually seen them before. And in seeing that, I also, unfortunately, around that time, my father, who was a veterinarian, got sick. And when we were in the hospital, I realized how great it would have been for him to have his dog in the hospital with him. Mm-hmm. And so after he passed, I decided I wanted to start bringing Bob to hospitals. And we got started at UCLA through the PAC program there, which is fantastic. So we visit sick people of all ages and hang out with them. And then we started doing it at Cedars-Sinai as well through their Pooch program. And we go to one of the up until COVID, we would go to one of the hospitals on a weekly basis, and meet some really interesting, fantastic people, and bring some people a lot of pain, some smiles, because I don't know if you've noticed, but Bob has a pretty happy face.
Yeah.
And it just, I think also, not that you asked, but one of the best pieces of advice I can give you if you're going to get a dog is get a dog with a smiley face, because man, it makes the world a better place.
For sure. Do you have maybe one story you can share with us from heading into the hospital when that was a possibility?
Yeah. So as Bob's gotten older, he's 12 years old, even though you can't tell by looking at him. As Bob's gotten older, I've sort of restricted. We went from getting into every bed to being a little bit more restrictive about whose beds he would actually get into. And there was one woman in a coma that we were visiting who was not doing very well. And without any of the typical commands, and he does basically what he wants, but he listens to a few commands. Without listening to any commands, he leapt into bed with her, curled up beside her, and laid down with her for about 30 minutes. Now, the thing that's so special about it is that Bob insists upon constant pets. He likes, the only reason he'll bark at you is if you stop petting him. But he crawled up with this woman who was immobile and laid with her for about 30 to 40 minutes, requiring absolutely nothing in return. And very shortly after we left, she passed. And he just knew what was going on there, and he knew what that woman needed, and he gave it to her in a way that was incredible.
Oh wow, what a beautiful story. That is that's very touching. Are you able to, what are you sort of doing in this time period when the world is sort of shut down?
I know he's your personal
therapist. We moved to the beach and we play on the beach all day.
Excellent. He's certainly earned it and deserved it with that smile. How can the DogTV audience support you, follow your journey, and support what you're doing besides playing on the beach? They can support the give back side.
Previous guest of how do you get started on this? And the one thing that was pretty tricky in this process was getting started was really difficult. Yes. Figuring out who to reach out to and how to get it done and how to get started. It's a big sort of hassle. So subsequently, I've just made myself very available to people that want to get involved in the Los Angeles area, and I can connect you with the appropriate people to reach out to figure out if your dog is a good fit for one of these programs. Obviously, COVID screws all this up a bit, but this too will pass one day. And so if you're interested in volunteering in Los Angeles, check out Bob's Instagram, which is at the BobDylan, or this is a Facebook too. He's BobDylan GW. You can get in touch either way, and send me a text or send me a direct message, and I will put you in touch with the right people to get you started in Los Angeles. And also, that's the best way to sort of follow Bob on his journey. He has a very difficult life.
Excellent.
Adam, I just have to thank you because I remember meeting him.
Did I miss your question? Oh, I can't. Okay. The volume's out.
Oh, is the volume out? Is my volume out?
Oh, I think we're good.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
It was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
The BobDylan. Thank you so much, Adam. Absolute pleasure. And give back as you can. What a cool story from one end of the spectrum to the other. And now we're going to welcome our third and final guest. And I would say probably the best dressed guest coming up. I'm gonna put that out there. The best dressed four-legged guest is coming up. But here it is. Please welcome Ryan and Aero.
Yay! Hi, Aero. Hi, Ryan. Of course, I have to say hi to the dog first. Oh, is he muted?
Not the best dressed.
No, sir, no, the dog, certainly. Sorry, Ryan, we missed you for a little bit there, but I think you're back. Welcome, Ryan. I'd love to hear about sort of your story and Lifeline Assistance Dogs and sort of what that does to the world and how you kind of bring that the joy to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lifeline Assistance Dogs is a nonprofit that's based in Phoenix, Arizona. And we place service dogs, facility dogs, and therapy dogs all across the country. So we started with the premise of really a lot of individuals, both children and adolescents and adults, who may fit outside the scope of what most organizations may call typical. And so either people with multiple disabilities or a very highly trained, specialized facility or therapy dog. And that's sort of what we specialize in, is dogs for those individuals or those specific situations that may be just a little bit more difficult or unique and falls outside the scope of most other organizations. And it all started out of even a need for myself, trying to find different benefits that dogs could provide and how they can help populations who have multiple disabilities or who maybe can't find the same sort of therapeutic benefits in any other way. And so that's really how it came about, and it certainly blossomed from there.
Very, very cool. I love that Aero visits children's hospitals. Obviously, that might be a little delayed given the current season, but how did that start out? How did Aero, go into his closet, pick out a colorful tutu? And
Yeah. Yes, he has, I'm pretty certain, more outfits than I do, which is just ridiculous. Also isn't necessarily saying very much, but nonetheless.
Penelope wants to know where he gets tutus from. That's
his father might have learned how to make them. So
that's a different Dog Dads Who Sew is our Facebook Live next week. Dog Dads Who Sew Facebook Live.
Yeah. The things we do for our dogs, let me just say. No, it actually, it's a funny story kind of how that came up. We've done a lot of different kinds of therapy visits as far as locations that we've visited. Excuse me. My last dog, he unfortunately passed away, but we did a lot of work in hospitals and convalescent homes and nursing homes. And Aero really, really, really adores children. Children, teenagers, any sort of kiddo. Aero absolutely loves and has from the time he was a puppy. And so majority of Aero's therapy work is actually centered around working with special needs populations in schools, and typically high schools. And so Aero's purpose, and actually why I have him on a desk now, is that Aero kind of sits in the center table and he picks his spot on that table or that desk, and it makes him easy to access for all of the students, whether they have any sort of physical impairment or maybe aren't ambulatory and can't bend down to pet him. He's right there at literally face level and easy to access. The tutus is a funny story. Aero, to some people, looks very scary. He's a big dog. He's an intimidating dog. And sometimes some people may look at a big dog with a big face and be a little bit intimidated or even scared. And so as Aero started to grow up, I noticed that when we would be at the school and around the students, that there may have been a little bit of reservation around Aero. And so I brainstormed a way to make him look less intimidating. And I was joking at the time, but well, we can just throw a rainbow tutu on him and he's not going to be scary to anybody. So I did. And it's become his signature pretty fast. That or capes. Really, any outfit Aero tends to wear quite well. But it ended up serving a much bigger purpose. His tutus, instead of just being something that puts maybe a little bit of a softer edge to what he wants cookies very badly, but maybe put a little bit of a softer edge to what may look intimidating at first, but also we've started utilizing them in some of the visits. So students who may have a difficult time differentiating between colors. All right, well, hand me his blue tutu, or where's the red on this one, or things like that. And even with something as simple as something that slips over his head, even being able to dress him in his tutu has served kind of its own therapeutic purpose as well. And so for something that truly started off as a giant joke, it's blossomed, and it's got so many hidden benefits that I would have never previously thought about.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I'm gonna try that. If anybody's intimidating, I'll try to put a tutu on them. We'll see what.
Absolutely. Right.
Wear it to your next meeting. It's like the best icebreaker.
It is, because that's kind of how it came about. Like, if anybody looks at him, they don't see a big, scary, muscle-bound dog. They see something in a rainbow glitter tutu, and immediately you're looking at him laughing instead of maybe being a little bit nervous about the big dog. So it's definitely serves its purpose.
Since you are in the therapy space and place these therapy dog, what is a benefit of a therapy dog that maybe the average dog owner wouldn't know or wouldn't really hear about until they're sort of into it? What's something that's sort of an unknown benefit of a therapy dog?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people, even as a trainer, people who are coming to me to try and find a therapy dog or to train their own dog as a therapy dog, I think the biggest thing that I find that they just aren't aware of is how many things that dogs can be taught to do that can help very specifically in a therapeutic setting. So like the way how Aero is resting his head on the desk is taught. He's not just doing that because he's sleepy and begging for some food. He's doing it because he's learned that, okay, when dad says this, lay down and lay your head down. And so I taught that because it makes him one flush creature. And especially if somebody's a little bit slow or has hard dexterity, or they're moving slowly towards him, him staying still as they approach to pet him leaves them without any trepidation, or at least significantly less than if his big fat face was moving a bunch. And even things as simple as like fetching a ball. I use fetch all the time in therapy visits. So the act, especially in a physical therapy sort of sense, the act of holding the ball, throwing it, and then being able to use confidence to tell the dog to go and get it and then bring it back to you, that's serving a multitude of different purposes. You've got the connection, the emotional connection with the dog. You're working on speech and language skills, dexterity, and it's just being able to get, especially a large dog, to listen to you and respond to you because they want to is huge, especially for some of the populations that we visit.
Very
And I think, Ryan, talk to us about some of the different styles of therapy dog work, because, you know, Aero's working with occupational therapy. There's also dogs that are involved with crisis response, with reading programs. Tell us about the different styles of therapy dog work that are out there.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I think that's even something that's often overlooked too, is that just because one dog maybe prefers to not visit in the hospital setting, that doesn't mean they're then written off as a therapy dog. They may just be better suited for a different specialty. And so like where Aero is wonderful in the occupational setting, there are library dogs whose job is to sit calm and relaxed, or lay down calm and relaxed next to a student, a child, an adult, somebody who's reading to them. And so what they have at that time is a very non-judgmental creature next to them that's there listening and being very patient as they work through their story and work through their book. Aero and I have done a fair bit of crisis response work, which is where teams will, kind of like Laurie was talking about as well, where we will visit during a time of crisis. So whether it's a natural disaster, or in our case, it's been along with the schools when maybe a staff member has passed or some tragic event has occurred. And the dogs are there kind of as a sounding board. So they're there to sit with you if you need to cry, if you need a good distraction. There's nothing better than a Rottweiler in a tutu to serve that purpose. Really, whatever they need at that time, that's what the dog is there for. And then even looking at like memory care units, so dogs who are going to help those who may have Alzheimer's or dementia or similar concerns. And the dog's there as a calm creature to just hang out with you. And so while all of these dogs need to have a solid level of obedience, there's a wide array of specialties and different tricks and behaviors that can and would be taught depending on that niche that that dog and that team would fall into.
Absolutely fantastic. I wish you all the best with it, and hopefully you can get back into those settings as soon as possible, because you bring a huge value to that. How can the DogTV audience really support what you're doing at Lifeline Assistance Dogs?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, and I'll link it shortly in the live stream too, we have a fundraiser that's going on right now for our veterinary needs throughout the year. We try to place roughly 5 to 10 dogs a year in different specialties, whether it be service dogs, facility dogs, or therapy dogs. And the biggest expense we typically have is veterinary care, especially when those unexpected emergencies come across. You can plan as much as you want, but sometimes they just show up. Sure. And so that's a fundraiser that we have going on right now that I'll drop down. I'll drop that link down into those comments shortly.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, absolute pleasure. Aero, you are not intimidating at all. You are very cute.
And I met Aero about a week ago. He's amazing. My Delilah Jane had like the biggest crush on him.
Oh, there it is. There it is. A match made in dog trainer. I love it. Well, he got the cookie. Absolute pleasure, Ryan. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your National Dog Day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Sarah.
Well, Laura, what a fantastic National Dog Day. We met some dogs. We met some heroes. We met some dogs that give back. We met the dog mother of training. What's your big takeaway from dogs who give back and these dogs who are heroes like this?
You know, I think the thing is we talk about the dogs giving back, and we've got to just step back and realize how much they give to us. I feel like I received so much more than my dog ever gave. Just, you know, and Ryan kind of touched on it, of how Aero has touched his life. And I know how BobDylan has touched Adam's life, and Laurie has had multiple generations of therapy dogs. These dogs are giving back to the world. They're giving back to us. And it all starts from the connection. You know, I look at the way that Ryan has bonded with his dog, and that Adam and Laurie, what they give to their dogs, they're the reason that these dogs have reached their potential. So I just want to say thank you to all of them. I also want to shout out, we've got some people from Florida, from London.
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick shout out to everybody who has joined us to celebrate National Dog Day. We've got Peggy, Edna, Diana, Deborah, Susie, Marcia, Valerie, Britt, Sophia, Steve, Fabian, Janet. There's just, oh my gosh, I love seeing all of the comments from all over. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to address every single one, but thank you. It's so cool to see dog lovers from all around the country coming together here at DogTV to celebrate. And I want to know, all of you guys out there who are watching, how are you celebrating with your dogs today? I'm with Penelope, and I've got 6 dogs here. We're actually shooting some content for DogTV. Joe, what are you and your dog doing?
Well, we took a walk this morning. We're gonna take another walk right now. He's hanging out right below me. He's a big sun dog, so we found a sun spot. Give him some extra treats. Love on him. Maybe watch a little DogTV with him later. It should be a wonderful day. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to all the guests. Thank you to all the dogs, particularly across the country and definitely across the world. And tune into DogTV for more amazing dog content for you and for your fur family member. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone.